Hey friends, this is JB with the 14-Day Wisdom Challenge show. Here we go. I gotta say, I was looking at the title of this next segment, this next wisdom reading that we have, and to be truthfully honest, I was a little reluctant to keep on pursuing this. You know, the oppressive nature of the accuser, the one who would wage war with the Lord Almighty, really becomes a thing to be somewhat reticent about. I mean, it's sort of like the part of the story, the part of the book where you're on the decline and you're like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling good about this. That's how I get in movies. Like sometimes these movies they have, or a book, we get on these parts where there is tragedy looming and we know that something good is not happening. It's just the way stories are structured. There's not too many big surprises with stories when it comes to these things. You're gonna have some tragedy, you're gonna have some ups and downs. And to me, to think about this particular part where Job starts to plunge even further in a test, in a tribulation of types with our Lord, knowing that his plan will be done, and for some reason allowing this to take shape. It's a little bit sobering. It's a little bit somber. It's something that we want to look at with not gawking, not with disrespect, but with appreciation and care of what has happened. This would have been a person who's lived on earth. And like many of these funniest home videos where they celebrate tragedy and pain, and I get what, you know, there's boundaries that get crossed all the time. And in today's modern form of comedy seems to be wincing, and the desire of repulsion. It's not me. It's not me. So I don't know. Not saying that I'm not judging, but I'm just saying it's not me. You know, I'm one of those people who've I've kind of been up and down on movies, but essentially I get a little bit squirrely when I get into movies that are uncomfortable, books that have these plot character arcs that essentially dive up and down and bring the hero essentially into peril, and it's uncomfortable for me. And Job in this instance would be our hero. God really is ultimately our hero, but Job is, because he's the one who's got this journey, and he's a steward of all the things that God has given him, including now what is one of the last things that one can take is his health, right? We know that all the objects we have, the doodads, the various devices, the things that we have in this world are just objects. They're inanimate. They have no really true connection in many ways to our spirituality, but our health in many ways seems to, because it's something that we are so close to. It's the feeling, the experience. But when we get beyond ourselves, okay, the objects first, but then ourselves, even to know that, hey, God's plan is that much greater, then what we've got to understand is that even the health, it's a stewardship that is God's, and it's his to take away. What did he say before on the very last part of the last I believe it was 1. He says, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. Ooh. So not only did Job just previously lose all of his material possessions, but he lost even his family and people, okay, his sons and daughters, which are so precious. There's such a special connection between the parent and the children, okay? If you are a teacher, the teacher and your children, if you haven't had any, the fact of the matter is that these connections God has given us to steward over, whether it's a blood relation or not, that stewardship, okay? That stewardship is God's gift to us. It's this important duty, and it's an honorable thing. And so now, above really the external stewardship that the Lord has given to Job, including human beings, now the one thing I think is that is being tried to be tested, and Job's being put through the trial and tribulation, is his own health, which rocks a person to the core, which rocks a person beyond understanding. But let's see what Job has to say about it, and let's not get JB's words too much right now. Let's see where we're going with this. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan also came among them to present himself before the Lord. So it's interesting, another moment of this insight between God, sons of man, and also with Satan himself. We're sort of given the privilege to be privy to this significant conversation. Anytime the Lord speaks, it's significant that he would allow us to hear a little bit of it, okay? That's huge. And the Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." Isn't that interesting? That's the same thing that he said last time. And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on earth, a blameless and upright man, who fears God and turns away from evil? He still holds fast his integrity, although you incite me against him to destroy him without reason." Although you incite me against him to destroy him without reason. The Lord knows what Satan is up to. It's like not a big trick, okay? He's ferreted out what Satan has done long before Satan has done it. Then Satan answers the Lord and said, "Skin for skin, all that a man has he will give for his life. But stretch out your hand and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse you to your face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, he is in your hand, only spare his life." Lord has so much confidence in Job. It's amazing. And the human has time and time again basically disappointed God in so many ways. And to have God put his knowing in Job versus the challenge of Satan really speaks volumes to Job. And it really shows God's sense of control and confidence. You don't have to be confident even when you're the eternal creator. It's you. It's that you are confidence. You see what I'm saying? So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with loathsome sores from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. Now, if you're like me, you're starting to imagine probably quarter-size sores, boils, that's opening up your skin, possibly your multiple layers of skin. It's on the head, meaning that your hair is probably falling out at places, the bottom of your feet, making it difficult to feel like you would even want to walk. And it's very, the imagery that we all conjure up in our head. Whatever you are thinking is probably worse for you. What I'm thinking, it's something you almost want to turn your mind away. Studies have shown that people who are destitute and malformed, many people, the population wants to turn their head. They don't want to be around them. Really, I mean, it's kind of sad in a way. I mean, it is sad. It's a sad thing because some of them people need help. But the point is that it's not a warm feeling, is it? You empathize with them, but you want to kind of shake those images from your mind because it's just not a nice thing. And he took a piece of broken pottery, with which to scrape himself while he sat in the ashes. Now, I've got to say, I wonder why he's sitting in ashes. And I guess, I wonder if that was a remedy of some sort. I know that it was a sign of mourning, sackcloth and ashes. But I wonder why he sat in the ashes. Must have been a remedy. Must have known that the ashes had this pure, uncorrupted substance that had no bacteria on it to speak of because it's ashes. It just got burned and sterilized. And they probably stick to you. And here he is sitting in and he's got broken pottery with him to scrape himself while he sat in the ashes. That doesn't sound like you would not want to be eating while reading this. It's very sickening in a way. Then his wife said to him, "Do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die," she says. Can you imagine? Curse God and die. What a woman. What a woman. Wonder what happened to her. What happens to her, huh? What do you think the God that we have thinks about that sort of behavior, that sort of thing? But he said to her, "You speak as one of the foolish women. One of the foolish women would speak. Shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil?" In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. God hears this, and Job is steadfast in his resolve to honor God, not probably understanding, but he knows that the Lord is there, and how great is God that we should be able to receive and accept anything from the sovereign God, who's just and whose grace has shown over everyone throughout time. We know that. We've got that in our heart. We've got that in our heart. All of us do. Because we know we've done some whoppers, some bad things. We have offended and insulted the Lord in many ways, not just through words, some through words, some through actions, many through action, many more through actions, just by forsaking his love, for working against him in many different facets. We do. And so all this, Job did not sin with his lips. Boy, we just worked right through this thing, my friends. 14-day wisdom challenge. And what are you getting from this? That there's another aspect of our stewardship, our health. And you know what is interesting? Before we go, first thing that will go is all the objects, because we really can't use them if we, grow old. And then the next thing that would go is our health. We fail from a health standpoint. The Lord has given us these bodies, these shells that only have a certain amount of miles on them. And as you reach that 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 1 million thousand mile mark on your personal odometer, guess what? That body fails. Your health fails. What are you going to do? Are you going to curse God at the very end of your life? If that was the case, the health that you have is still His. We all have a finite amount of time on this place, this planet, this rock. And then it's up to God. And He's already given us a plan through Christ, His salvation. So this is very poignant because from a wisdom standpoint, we do want to reach forward to see what's at the end of our life. And our health fails because our stewardship to take care of ourselves through these years is only for a season. And with that, we must understand what our role is. And our role is to steward these bodies as long as we can until that time comes. And that's hugely important. It's huge to be wise. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. Take care of the things that God has given you because they're for a season. And He's going to remove them at one point and bring us to somewhere greater, in fact. Bring us to somewhere greater. My friends, this is the 14-day wisdom challenge. I would say get wisdom, get insight, get discretion, get understanding, get it now. Let's do this.